Yo, good morning, and welcome to the Kick-Ass Podcast live via One True Sport. Oh, I need to turn my background off. And Brass Ring Media. We are live every Saturday morning, a little after 10 a.m. Eastern Time, depending on when I get things going. But welcome, guys. We have so much to talk about today. It's insane. Smackdown last night itself, we could probably do a whole show on that. But man, y'all, it's like, it's kind of crazy because coming out of SmackDown last night, I don't know why the first thing when I was thinking about it this morning, the layout of everything, I was like, man, like, I kind of want to talk about Charlotte and Tiffany first, which is just crazy to say, with all the CM Punk stuff that happened with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. We finally know the favor, the Kevin Owens announcement, the stuff that happened with Randy Orton and Nick Aldis, and we had developments with Naomi and Jade finally. Well, not finally, but we actually have something official with them at WrestleMania, so that's really cool as well for a whole lot of reasons. And this morning, man, when I woke up, the first thing I wanted to go back in, because sometimes I'll try to watch, especially for SmackDown or depending on my work schedule, I'll try to watch clips just to kind of refresh if I couldn't watch the whole thing or whatever. First clip I wanted to rewatch was Charlotte, y'all, like in the whole clip, because I saw, normally I'll go to like the YouTube page. They've already edited out, I would say probably a good 80% of their in-ring segment. They took out the ending part where Charlotte and Tiffany were referencing each other's, personal relationships, which we'll get into here. But I do want to talk about the pay-per-view that we had this weekend, the actual pay-per-view. Shout out Callie in the back. For AEW Dynasty, of course, is tomorrow, so we'll be going over that as well. So I'm gonna try not to waste too much time and get right into it here. But what's up, guys? What up, Fernando? Pull up the chat. What up, Fernando? What up, the boss? What up? Yes, I am back. Couldn't keep me away too long, guys. Could not keep me away too long. What's up, Ben? What up, man? You say, has WWE finished up forever? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, man. What do you mean? Like, are you just not feeling the product right now? You think they're going downhill? Let me know what you think, man. What up, Sai? Always got the coffee on deck, man. What up? What is up? Oh, guys, yeah. So we'll start with SmackDown and then move over into AEW Dynasty. And pull up the rundown. We're not going to do a full in-depth review of SmackDown, just the main talking points. Excuse me. Let me pull it up here real quick. Because, y'all, that... Let me know what you guys think about the whole... One of the big talking points coming out of the whole... And I guess we will just start with that. One of the big talking points was the question of if Charlotte and Tiffany went off script, quote unquote, on SmackDown. So I've been thinking about that, and I don't know, man. I mean, I definitely feels that way, right? And I guess part of me wants to say it wouldn't surprise me, just because we've seen something like that in the past with Charlotte, similar, right? The first thing that I thought of once the whole, like, you could kind of tell something was off, right, with them last night. The first thing made me think of was Becky Lynch and Charlotte on SmackDown. I don't know why I keep wanting to call Charlotte SmackDown, but if you guys remember, I forget the exact year, but it was Sonya Deville when she was a SmackDown, I guess, general manager, like authority figure, and they were switching brands, Charlotte and Becky, and they had to figure out what they were doing with the titles, right? So they did the dumbest shit ever, not the wrestlers, but, creative, and just had Charlotte and Becky just literally swap titles. It was just like, really? Like, y'all, like, you put yourself in this situation and this is how you come out of it? Like, just swapping it, like, literally, like, here's yours, here's mine. Like, it was just so lame. But you could tell things were not going well, I believe. I don't remember. I think it was Becky. They went to swap the titles, and then Charlotte was not wanting to pretty much hand over her title type thing. So Becky ended up tossing it to Charlotte, I think. And then it was just a clusterfuck. So that was one of the first things that it made me think of. Last night's segment, of course. But what is all this? Go ahead, Cal. She always does this now. She'll, like, start whining to get on the bed. It's like, girl, just get on the bed. Like, you do this shit all the time. But I'm pulling up the rundown because I want to try to get some quotes from the segment last night because y'all. And again, I guess I'll say I think towards the end this went quote unquote off script or whatever, but I liked it. I really thought it was best for both women. In my opinion, I think Tiffany actually got the upper hand on Charlotte a little bit. I God, man, I don't know what it is about me, but something in me just always kind of feels for Charlotte. I always kind of feel bad for her when she gets a lot of hate and shit. I don't know why. I don't know, like, I feel like I need to come to her defense or whatever. So I'm gonna try not to. And it's not like I'm like her biggest fan or anything like that. Like I respect her, and her airing talent and all that shit. But it's just I don't know why. Something in me just feels the need to defend her. But you could tell, in my opinion, that there was a point where she just took, no pun intended, reins of the promo and really took it off. If we're gonna say they went off script, you could tell there was a point where Charlotte really took handle of the promo itself, and Tiffany responded. And props to Tiffany. I often wonder if I was in that situation, right? If I was, I'll just say, if I was Tiffany last night, and that moment presents itself, right? Like again, this is just going off of the speculation that they did. They very well could not have. And I'll kind of give my opinion on it, my quick thoughts, obviously. But just going under the assumption again that they completely went off script. They had plans, but they said fuck it. Charlotte said fuck it. You want to go? Let's go. And being in Chicago as well, the fans of Chicago were not about Charlotte, yo. They were not about her one bit. So I think that really got to her, really worked her up a bit as well. And maybe just shook her, because it was just like Dominic was out there, like old school Dominic Key, you know what I mean? So again, if it was me, you're supposed to be professional and all that stuff, and not cave into what the other person is doing, right? Depending on what they said, I don't know, man. I may not originally react. I may try to, stay in character or whatever. But bro, if you continue at it, I may just say fuck it and do what Tiffany did too. Is like that ending line was the best, man. The 0 for 3. Oh, and again, I feel for Charlotte. We don't know what happened. I guess I don't know what happened. I don't know who asked for the divorce or whatever. I think, well, not even I think. A coworker of mine in my part time last night, he had actually referenced the promo, or not the promo, the interview that Charlotte had done that Tiffany referenced. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta go take a look at it. And then now I definitely do, now that it was referenced last night. But so she may have addressed if it was whether she left Andrade or Andrade left her, if it was a mutual thing or whatever. It's really none of our business. The only reason I bring it up is because Tiffany brought it up. She didn't name Andrade specifically, but definitely, with the 0-3 line, we know what she was referencing there. And then Charlotte with the comeback for Guiding Kaiser. Poor Kaiser, And it just sucks for Kaiser too, because it's like, I'm sure he's not, right, in her DMs, but it's like, even though he's not, Tiffany's probably gonna go back there and be like, you're not, right? Or some shit, or just kind of look at him, and he's like, I did nothing. I was eating lettuce and spinach and shit back here, and vegetables, because that dude probably eats no carbs. But I'm gonna pull it up here. I'm gonna pull up the chat as well and take a look at see what you guys are saying. But I was so happy last night they were in Chicago too. That was so fitting. So fitting. And of course we got the debut of Rey Fénix as well, which is, I'm so happy for Rey, for Fénix. And I was thinking when they do an eventual Mysterio versus Fénix match, they're gonna definitely just have to go by the last names, because you got Rey, and I'm just so happy. Sorry guys, that he got to keep his name. And obviously Penta did as well. But it's still kind of interesting that Ricky Starks is the only one, I think, so far that has come over from AEW and has changed his name. So very, very curious about that. I wonder if that was Ricky Starks. And I know he addressed it. I think it was a Busted Open After Dark segment he did with Bully Ray, but I think he addressed it. I don't know he was a character, right? So I don't know if he gave like a full explanation as to why, but he liked it. And I don't even hate his new name. Could definitely be worse, right? But it is interesting because we had, I mean, definitely we're gonna change Cody's name, but you had Cody, you have Jade. She didn't change her name. You have, oh my gosh, well, Ricky Starks, of course. You have Pizza, and then now you have Ray Phoenix. So, and I'm sure once Malachi Black comes in, he'll go back to Aleister Black, which is not a surprise there. It makes more sense, really. So yeah, it's just very interesting. But I'm super happy he got to keep his name. The pairing that they did with him and Nathan Frazier, perfect. Such a good pairing. Of course, like not everything's perfect, right? And Frazier had that one slip up, which I cringed, man. Like, it makes me so nervous. I know the professionals, and even when shit goes wrong, they know how to react and kind of adapt in the moment. Still makes me so nervous, man. And I'm sorry to be stiff, but it really showed what kind of professional and what kind of just master of his craft Ray Phoenix really is, right? Like, he was still able to adapt in that moment, as did Frazier when Frazier was going for the suicide dive through the ropes. And Phoenix ended up catching him at the last second, but you could tell, like, when they ended up on the ground, Phoenix's arms were around Frazier. So shout out to both of them there, man, because that shit just, like, we see it so often now. It's almost, you almost get, I don't want to say numb to it, but it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's it's typical, it's common, right? But anything can happen at any time, and even the simplest things, and then to, not that this is like a major move, right? But even to moves to this extent, and just diving through the ropes, period. I've always given them so much credit for. It's almost easier, in my opinion, as long as you got the jumps too, right? To jump over the top because you have nothing else to clear, right? As long as you, pretty much the sky's the limit for your leaping abilities at that point. But diving through the ropes, it's very more intricate, especially if you don't have someone there holding it up for you, like a tag partner or whatever. But you have to be very precise, and there's not that much space in between. You got to make sure your legs aren't flailing. So there's a lot that goes into it, man. And sometimes stuff like that, I'll speak for myself again. I take it for granted. So props to them, man. Props to all the wrestlers, because that shit's scary as fuck. So props to them. But I'm going through the chat here now, guys. Like I said, and I really like how. Production side note. I really like. I just didn't want to give my money to Twitter. You know what I mean? But I really like going live on Twitter like this, that we could do on One True Sport, and get more viewers as well, and get their comments in here also. I was wondering at first how it was going to implement, right, and how I was going to view the comments, but StreamYard does this thing, so I might have to look into that. I just really didn't want to give Twitter my money now, but see what we have to do for the biz, right? Yeah, so in regards to Tiffany and Charlotte, you say, I don't know if they went off script or if they looked at their last segment and said, what's the point? Yeah, dude. And to be fair, thinking back on it as a whole, like the build to WrestleMania so far, the weaker points, in my opinion, or just the points that needed more love or more tweaking or just a little bit more oomph, if you will, were Jay and Gunther. And that was just because of the longevity of it. Like, we've been going how long now since Jay declared against Gunther and all that stuff. So that's to be expected, but still, it's like, damn, like, we're starting to drag here. But what Gunther did to Jimmy was just brutal and just sick, and something we don't see from WWE at all lately, and to that extent, where Gunther was just covered in Jimmy's blood. Jay was handcuffed to the ring, or he had the zip tie around the ring. Bro, that shit was just next level. So they really amped that up, no doubt. And then this one, it was one of those, Tiffany and Charlotte, were, my opinion, again, like, I expected it to be. I was hoping it wasn't, but I expected Tiffany to be facing off against Charlotte if Charlotte was going to be the victor, and either at the Chamber or at Rumble for that matter. And I was looking forward to the match. I was like, this is probably going to be a good match. The people are behind Tiffany, but it just started off really rocky for whatever reason. They just weren't meshing. And this week, regardless if they went off script or if they if they were like, you know what, we're gonna push the limits, you know what I mean? We're gonna go there. Props, you know, shit, props. Either way, I get them, and you know, like not to be a Charlotte defender, but if she did okay that, good for her. If she didn't, then then I have a phone call coming in, guys. Sorry. People always be trying to get me when I'm streaming. But I almost answered it. You know, like you're live in the air. But I won't put them on blast. But and it'll take away my camera. But I lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, but if Charlotte was not privy to that little piece of info that was gonna happen, or if this was truly just, you know what, fuck it, like she, and you know what too, like if it wasn't planned going into it, and Tiffany went there, then Charlotte's kind of got to be ready for that. You know, you can't just be saying shit. It's one of those things where it's like you can't be swinging and get surprised when you get punched. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Regardless, I think I would really be curious to know for certain though. But regardless of whether it was or not, I fucking enjoyed it. And I loved to. That's why I was saying earlier. I loved so much that they were in Chicago last night. It was just fucking even. It just made it that much better, you know. Yeah, the boss. What up, boss? You say Flair lost focus because of the Dominic Heat. Tiffany cooked her, but Flair can't get in trouble because she's Rick's daughter. Don't forget the shoot with Jax. Yeah, yeah. Very good point there. Yeah, like I just Charlotte needs to be careful though. You know, she when looking back on it, when she was out, yes, you could feel that Charlotte was missing, but it wasn't like a big gaping hole in the roster, right? Like they continued on. So I'm not gonna say they would ever fire her or anything crazy like that, but I don't know, guys. Like I've said before, she reminds me, especially now lately, more and more of the old Roman Reigns, right? The big dog Roman Reigns, where it was just an overload of Roman. Like he was being shoved down our throats. And it's like, bro, like, no, like we don't want this version of him. Like we don't like him. At least now, again, to give them credit, Charlotte is a bad guy, right? Like there's no question about that at this point. I just hope that they continue to be productive with it as well. And because there were a couple moments too where Charlotte just completely just overstepped on Tiffany, and she was just trying to speak on top of her, and it really did drown Tiffany out a couple points, but especially with the crowd. And like when the lines that Tiffany were saying, it Charlotte didn't allow for it to really sink in and to really punch, you know? People will say, like, for instance, when in court cases, you know, like sometimes you need to ask the question, let the witness or whomever respond, and then just shut up and just let the answer sink in for a couple seconds, you know, 10 seconds, whatever it is. Because the longer that dead air and that dead time, that silence really makes you, if you're the one who, especially who just said it, you're sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, what did I just say? Like, I mean, you're thinking it back and it's like, did I say the right thing? Why is she looking at me like that? Like, why is she looking at me like that? And it also allows the people around you as well who heard it to really chew on what you said and to really process what was said. And it's like, oh shit, you know, she just said this. So that was interesting. And that's why I can buy into, oh, they went off script or whatever, and it wasn't planned. Because Charlotte was just, it was the main factor, again, to me, was the fans getting to Charlotte and getting her worked up, and then Tiffany throwing the punches right back at her. I really don't think that Charlotte expected it to be delivered, even if she knew what was going to be said and they knew what was going to go down. I don't think Charlotte still expected the reaction that the fans were giving and the tenacity that Tiffany was delivering. And yes, people will say like she has a squeaky voice or whatever. That's just her voice, man. Like it is what it is. Like whether now I haven't, to be fair, I haven't listened to too many outside of the ring interviews with her. So unless she does have a deeper voice and she's just, you know, like squeaking it up for TV, then that's, you know, one thing. But that's just her voice, man. That's just her voice. Like you can't do much about it. You know what I mean? So, and Charlotte knows that. Charlotte knows that. Oh, Fernando, you were not a fan. You were not a fan. You said it was trash last night. The entire Tiffany versus Charlotte build has been has been ass, except the one SmackDown when they brawled all show long. Yeah, dude, that was very good, very good build there. As you said, very good segment that they had there, and it made sense. And now I don't know. Again, last night it was not probably productive, but I fucking enjoyed it for the train wreck that it was. Yes, I say I give Tiffany credit. No big fan, but she was visibly trembling yesterday. High pressure situation. Again, dude, yeah, and that's why if it did take a turn and she was thinking on her feet, she was probably like, fuck it, what do I know about Charlotte? Here we go. And even the parts where Tiffany was like, I know I'm 25 going into WrestleMania defending my championship. What were you doing at 25? You were in your dad's basement trying to play volleyball, drinking, being a drunk or whatever. And I had never heard of that. And again, like I'm not acting like I'm the biggest Charlotte's fan or I know even a fraction of a lot of her journey, which besides the basics that we know and about her brother passing away and all that stuff. But I do know that Charlotte was in a very bad time when Reed had died. So I don't know if that was around the same time as the passing of that, or she was still trying to cope with that. And again, not making excuses, and it's not like she ended up going out there. And I don't even know if she. And again, like I don't know her personal life. I don't know if she ever had any issues with the law or any drinking issues or anything like that. But that just really stood out to me, and I don't know if that was a play off of Ric Flair, for that period, just a play off of Ric Flair and being in his basement, or if Charlotte had referenced it in that interview that she just recently did, or if she's referenced it previously. So yeah, the drinking thing was kind of new to me, so I don't know if that's issues that she has or not, but if she does, I don't know, man. If that is the case, like I not to be that person, but I'm not really a fan of bringing up like substance abuse issues unless especially if unless they've both, everyone, all parties involved have cleared it, right? But it's still hard, man. Like I think back to the part or the time when Jeff was still in WWE, and God, was it like 2018, 2019, maybe 2020? I don't remember exactly the year, but they were doing that. Who was it with? Fuck. They were doing that like drinking angle, and he had to do like a piss test or whatever. They brought it up, right? And Jeff had done interviews after that saying he kind of wishes that they maybe wouldn't have done that, or they could have done something differently, but it's all good, like he owns what he's done. But it's still rough, and it's still a process for that individual, especially depending on the level of addiction possibly that they could have, or difficulty they had with that substance or whatever. It could be triggering, or just not as easy as people may think to deal with. So I hope that was passed. And again, that could be me just over amplifying that line and that comment. But that just stood out to me for a few reasons, obviously. Good morning, Adam. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Maria. What up? What up, Dr. Ross? What up? Just going through here real quick. What up, Matthew? Good morning, good morning. Maria, you said going off script was a mistake. Tiffany Stratton is not ready to do that, and it totally showed. They sounded like war of words between two teenage mean girls. It sounded pathetic. It did sound like a Mean Girls moment. It made me think of White Chicks, like a White Chicks moment, like when they were battling on the floor, like obviously not dancing, but the verbal battle. But yeah, it was, again, I enjoyed it because it was a train wreck in my opinion. Not in, I don't know. To me, I think we've definitely seen worse, right? But I got a kick out of it. Perfect phrase, Dr. Ross. That Tiffy, Charlotte segment was a beautiful mess. Beautifully said. Yeah, 0 for 3, Dr. Ross. 0. Just brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, and the Nepo baby line. Like, can we stop with the Nepo baby thing? Like, now everyone is calling everyone a Nepo baby. It's like, all right. That's like the new like aura thing or whatever. It's like, God, we all. And that just made me think like, it made me think like, God, was that this annoying? Like I hope I wasn't like at this annoying when I was younger, like biting onto all these like cliche words now and like hip words. Or maybe I'm just not cool. Maybe I should be biting onto these aura and what was that other one? Demure, whatever. I don't even know how to fucking say it. I don't even know what it was about. But there's something else too, and I was just like, what are y'all even saying? What are you talking about? I'm so out of the loop. All right, yeah, so here we get the indie portion of it. Stratton had called Flair a Nepo baby. Flair says she's a Nepo queen. Okay. Stratton said that after it's all said and done at WrestleMania, Flair will be just like she is outside of the ring alone. Stratton asked Flair if her record was 0-3, and then exited the ring, and you could tell. And then Charlotte hit her back with Tiffy. Is that why Kaiser's in my DMs? And at that point, Tiffany. So when Tiffany was like, "What is that going to be 0-3?" in regards to her marriages. Tiffany was saying that, and as she was saying, it was like scurrying out of the ring. She was like, "And what is it? Was like gonna be 0-3, my bitch?" type thing, which is why again it adds to it wasn't that was off script type shit, because she did not want to stay in the ring and let that shit continue. She did not. She knew she was going somewhere with it. And then Charlotte's immediate response, so as Tiffany was sliding out of the ring and walking around back to the back, that's when Charlotte was like kind of like chasing her down on the mic in the ring, saying, "Tiffy, is that why Kaiser's in my DMs?" Which I guess you could call it clever thinking on your feet or whatever. It's typical to do, right? When someone has a boyfriend or whatever partner, they're like, "Oh, is that why so and so is in my DMs?" Again, do I think that? No. He'd be an idiot if he was. But you do it because it fucks with people, right? Like, Tiffany said that because it fucks with Charlotte and vice versa. So I don't know, man. I don't know. So I say if I'm Tiffany and Charlotte, I'm going to plan that segment together and make it look like they were thinking on the free. Exactly, dude. Exactly, Cyan. That's why I'm like, man, if this was if this was like AEW, you guys know I don't like to compare companies, but I only do that because AEW has more freedom and more flexibility in their scripts and not even their scripts, but in their segments and in their talking segments and what they're going to actually say and kind of shooting from the hip, But WWE does not. They have definitely loosened up the past couple of years, but you still have solid bullet points and almost like bullet points with explanations underneath of it, right? But like you had mentioned earlier, like part of me is like, I wonder if they're coming out of last week and they're like, fuck it, like there's nothing else we can lose. Like I can't get but so bad. Go out there and just shoot from the hip, guys. Just go out there and don't be completely disrespectful of each other, but go out there and take some jabs, kind of take like the UFC route type shit. Like I don't know. I really part of me is feels like almost all right. This is what I'll say. Part of me feels like they may not have known exactly what each other were going to say specifically, like bringing up Kaiser's, especially saying his name, because Tiffany didn't mention Andrade specifically. So I don't think like that was like verbally stated, and possibly the 0-3 thing. But they could have been like, yo, like, screw it. Let's go to that level. I don't really want to, and that's the thing too, right? Like if I know you're gonna go out there and talk shit about my man or whatever and say he's in your DMs or whatever or anything like that, if I know that, I'm not going to react as naturally as I would if you just come right off the cuff and say it. Because if I know you're gonna say it, or I don't know exactly when you're gonna say it, but I know it's gonna be brought up, then I could be like, like once it actually like is said, be like, it could still, like sting, but okay, like there it is, Whereas if I have no idea you're gonna mention it or I don't know specifically what you're gonna say, then I'm like, okay, bitch, okay, like okay, you wanna go there, like okay, So I think it's probably a mixture of that if I had to put money on it. Uh, Word, Adam. I don't want to put that on the screen. I don't want to, put you on blast, but I'm proud of you, dude. That's what's up, dude. But yeah, 100%. She'd have to own her past for sure. And that's why, again, like, that's why I don't want to assume one way or another or put too much into it. But it was just a weird line. Like, we've never, like, really, unless I'm missing something, like, we've never really heard, besides Ric Flair being who he is, and we know the partier that he is, that's not what we've known of Charlotte. She's just been the in-ring version of him, right? But not the partying type. So that's what it was just kind of just interesting to me and just like kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, I won't go with those words. Appreciate it. Um Yes, but in her saying the word shit, I'm pretty certain Charlotte had spoke over that, or as she was saying the word shit, like Charlotte started speaking over it. So that's why I was saying, like, it didn't really, the impact wasn't there because it wasn't really felt. They just brushed over it. Um, but yeah, and yeah, Dr. Ross saw that too. By the way, happy birthday to Charlotte. And I thought it was really cool. Andrade sent out a tweet to Charlotte wishing her happy birthday. So you can see they're still on like amicable terms. So it sucks, like you hate to see shit like that happen to people. But again, not again, but for that matter too, like I'm happy they realized shit wasn't going to plan and they didn't draw out an unhappy relationship either. Some people do that too, and it's like, bro, just fucking break up. Like yeah, I'm sure y'all have seen that one couple where it's like, dude, just break the fuck up. Like, I don't know what else to say, man. Like, y'all, you're just asking for it at this point. And again, that's not them, just speaking in general. But it made me happy when I saw Andrade wished her a happy birthday. But yeah, so we will move on because we have a lot of shit to get into. I just thought that was very fascinating. And of course, we spoke about Rey Fenix. Super happy for him. He already has merch on the WWE shop, which is fucking badass. Again, their shirts are just so expensive now. Like, damn, like, especially when you put in shipping, unless you get like a free shipping code. Um, it's like, damn, dude. But oh, you guys, they have at Hot Topic, they had a Cody Rhodes and a John Cena shirt for like $4 on sale. It was crazy. And I think the John Cena shirt was like the last tour one. So just throw that out there if you guys like some merch. And they had a lot of sick band tees on sale, so I racked up on that. A lot of them like $4 and $5. So check that out if you guys feel inclined. That was yesterday though. Excuse me. So I don't know if it was just like a Friday thing or whatever, but check it out. The website, of course. We will get into the main event here in a second as well. But I wanted to address Kevin Owens and just go through everything before we did. I made remove myself for 1 second just to fix my face. So I'm not like all nasally in the mic here. But I want to say too, and give props and credit to where credit is due. Joe Tessitore, guys, to be honest, I was not familiar with him prior to him coming into wrestling. I had assumptions and judgments, probably a better term. Again, I was like, here's another outsider coming in, like he's all right, and not because sometimes, to be honest with you guys, especially if I'm not watching live, I'll have like a podcast on or something in the background just because my brain is can't settle down sometimes. I need like multiple things going. So sometimes I just tune out a lot of the commentators. But from day one, I really enjoyed him. When they moved him from Raw to SmackDown, I was concerned when they were just doing the shakeups in general with the commentators. I was concerned that he was gonna go to like NXT or something like that. And no shade on them, but his talents would just be wasted down there. In his voice, he just really he gives it a sports feel and a sports just kind of vibe, in my opinion. And of course, with his background, that's no surprise, right? But he knows the product, and he's not referencing Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and shit from the 80s, and again, nothing wrong with that. But you can tell when people or a fan of like the 80s, 90s Attitude Era and then know nothing from like 1999 and slip up and still say WWF. You know what I mean? Whereas I don't know. I would love to hear an interview from him. I hope if Chris Van Vliet ever hears or sees this, or if he ever takes requests, I would love a Joe Tessitore interview. I would love to know more of his background, just his, his life, period, his business and like his, business journey and career journey rather, and his wrestling love, and just how long he's been a fan and stuff like that. I would just love to know more about him. So if we could get that, that'd be great. But yeah, man, he has a way of really tying in history too, and he'll tie in things that happen, and unless now again, like it could be, lines that people are feeding him or whatever. And if that's the case, then fuck, like he does a great job of implementing it and not making it sound force fed and making it sound like he's being fed lines. So for whatever reason, today was just another one of those nights where, and I think it was the kickoff of the show, just the way he really owns the show and he introduces the show. He has a great way of taking ownership of that, I don't want to say segment, but of that introduction and that piece of whatever he's presenting, but it's not about him, right? He's not being extra, he's not being super loud or obnoxious or anything. He just, I don't know, man. I just love the vibe that he gives. So shout out to him. But the Kevin Owens part, man, we'll get into that here. Excuse me. I was hoping it was gonna be a swerve again. The wrestling fan in me was expecting a swerve or expecting kind of like a Mark Henry moment, and especially when he came out with the pink jacket, with the Bret Hart jacket. I was like, no, we all know his love, right? But it was very convenient that it was that jacket and it was pink, so that got me too. Obviously, that was not the case, and he said he's been dealing. So again, they got me here too, because as Nick Aldis is in the ring presenting and setting up for Owens to come out and saying that this is one of the parts of his job that he does not like doing and it's, difficult or whatever. I literally, guys, was as he was sitting there and introducing it and then got, saying what he was saying, I was sitting there thinking like, I know he's not really the general manager, but I wonder if he has any real input and build into the show, like if he really has any say so on some of the matches or anything like that, which I know is crazy, right? But who knows? But I love the pairing again of Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. And I liked earlier in the night that Aldis was backstage and he said, Adam Pearce and I have collaborated or whatever, and they're pretty much setting up a tournament for the women's tag team champions. I'm pretty certain that's what it was for, but just the inclusion of it very simple of Adam Pearce saying, "Me and Adam Pearce work together," blah blah blah. And it's like, yo, like, and they both look the part. They both are like very professional. Like Nick Aldis is fucking jacked, bro, and like he looks phenomenal in a suit. They both look great. They both look the part. They both fit the part. Adam Pearce has been getting a little, off the rails lately, but he's got a lot going on Raw. But I don't know, man. There are a lot of the little things in the past that used to be either annoying or just like kind of eye rolling, or you just zone them out. I think that they've really improved, especially within the past couple, since Triple H has taken over. But I'm gonna say within the past like 2 years specifically. So yeah, just wanted to give props to props was due. But getting back to Kevin Owens, it was pretty much like one of those real moments, and it was just really sad and really unfortunate to hear, especially for a guy like Kevin Owens. You don't want that for anyone, point blank, period. But especially for Kevin, because once the segment was over and realized that, like, shit, this is a real thing. This is actually happening. I sat there and thought about it, and he said it was the past 4 months. And you go back and think of the past 4 months, right? That match at the Royal Rumble with Cody Rhodes, the match at Elimination Chamber with Sami Zayn, but especially the one with Cody when Cody did the Alabama Slam to Owens through the ladder. And the way, and I'm not saying this is where it happened, but that's just what it made me think of. just the way Kevin's body folded over, fucking brutal, you know? And again, they're professionals, they know what they're doing, but when he said the timeline, you know, like the four months, and I was just like, man, like, and part of me is like, damn, like, I wonder if part of him is like, you know, like, we really had to find out now, like, right before WrestleMania, because he said that they've been trying to figure out what was going on. He had been experiencing some, you know, some issues essentially. And they finally figured out this week what was wrong, and he has to have neck surgery. And that's just devastating, dude, because minimum a year. You know, Big E is still out. How long has Big E been out? You know what I mean? Shit. Edge was gone for, how long was Edge out? Like 8 years, some shit like that. What he did down with 2011, I think. Um, Soraya Page, you know, it's Daniel Brian Danielson. It's just, it's so sad. It's just so sad. And he even referenced stating he doesn't know when he's gonna be back. And it just sucks. You know, I was thinking so many different things, right? One of the thoughts as well though was I thought of his match with Steve Austin. Was that 3 years ago now? 3 years ago now? In the main event of WrestleMania? No one would have ever put money on that happening, right? No shade to Owens, just because Steve Austin has been out for years, you know, and no one ever thought he would have a match. And not only did Steve Austin have a match, that dude was out there taking backdrops on the concrete. So it wasn't just a match, you know, or just some bullshit like, you know, the bell rang, Austin hit a stunner, 1, 2, 3 type thing. No, like they went at it. So I'm so happy he had that moment. I'm so happy he has had moments with Sami Zayn. You know, I'm happy he had the moments he had with Chris Jericho with the list and the Festival of Friendship. He was the Universal Champion, even though he did not get the love that he deserved in that in the sense that the title reign, right? Definitely could have been better. And he never got the title back. And I think that is a real miscarriage of justice, because Kevin is that guy. You know, Kevin is the guy who can play any part that you need him to play. Good guy, bad guy, tweener, you know, whatever you need, he could be that person. And he also can slide into any spot on the card, in my opinion. Yes, you know, like, it's better if you don't take L's, you know, and all this stuff, but he could talk his way back into the main event just like that. So, a very special talent, no doubt a Hall of Famer, right? Um, it's just sad, dude. Like, it's just really sad. I did not expect any of that when the announcement was made that he was going to be going out there and addressing his WrestleMania future. Because I don't really read the dirt sheets or anything. Not even really. I don't read the dirt sheets. I'll see tweets that go out, and if something's like really serious, or like it gets me, that I'll read the article maybe. But I don't know, man. I like to find out when I find out, but it just sucks. It just sucks. And the only thing I can say is, you know, thank you to Kevin. You know, like, if he is physically able, no doubt in my mind he'll be back, right? It's just literally a matter of time. But the neck is nothing to play with, you know, and he could be at the point at that time too. Like, let's say he gets the surgery, he's out for a year, we'll say, and it's still rocky, you know, it's still rough, or whatever the situation is. He could be like, I've made my money, you know. He's made a couple of nice contract bags, you know what I mean? So props to him. I remember a few years ago they I forget who it was, but maybe like 2020 or some shit. Maybe it was Fightful had put out that it was like 3 or 5 million or some shit like that. So, and that was back then. So, and Kevin, I'm sure, is not one of those guys that goes out there and spends money on like crazy shit. So he does have a nice truck though. I remember when they were in Orlando, badass truck, just fucking. It was like, I'm not gonna describe it, but it was nice, you know. So, and they like to go on trips, but he is a very, very family oriented guy. You know, that's no secret. So part of me wonders too, like, could this be potentially the end of Kevin Owens if it's a situation where The doctors are like, it's iffy. If you get back in the ring, you could be risking, your health down the line. I don't see Owens being one of those guys where he jeopardizes physically what he can do with his family because they mean that much to him, whereas some people, like, they literally just eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling, and it's just depending on who you are, you know what I mean? But it just concerns me. So, long story short, very bummed, to say the absolute least, that Kevin Owens is not even just out of WrestleMania, but going to be out for a while. And you could see, too, I thought it was very, very well done. Not even that they needed to stay in character or anything like that for a moment like that, but having Randy Orton, his music play, and him stop at the beginning of the stage, or the end of the stage, the beginning of the walkway, and you could see the emotion and the look on Randy's face. He gets to the ring and he says something. I think he said, like, "Go heal up" or something like that, because Kevin was standing not even kind of. Kevin was standing in the middle of the ring on the apron. Randy was walking up the ring steps, and that's when he verbalized something to that effect. And I'm not a great lip reader. I'm fucking terrible at reading lips because like, when you're at work and, like, or in school and you're trying to whisper, you're not supposed to be talking. People are like, like, lip reading or whispering. Fucking terrible. People get so frustrated with me. They're like, "Damn it," like this. It's like, bro, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I have a terrible sense of smell, and I just cannot read lips to save my life. And my hearing isn't that bad, but, like, I fucking can't decipher whispers for whatever reason. And, like, I look at you like that, and I'm, like, all staring at your mouth. And I start thinking about me staring at their mouth, and then that person thinking, like, why are they looking at my mouth like that? Like, it's just all downhill from there. So yeah, but so don't come to me if we're trying to figure out what Randy said to Kevin. I'm sure it's already out there. But yeah, and to finish up that segment, very simple. I loved really the continuation, right? Because it obviously leaves Randy Orton in limbo. Randy gets in the ring. Aldis says, pretty much, Randy, that does leave you without a match at WrestleMania. Randy's already, kind of feeling some different emotions, and RKO's Nick Aldis. Now, he did already pay his fine. I forget how many months ago, but he wrote a check to Nick Aldis for $100K because it was a $50,000 fine that he had, and Randy was like, "Yeah, here's $50K for the next one." So he's already paid that off, but Nick Aldis may be like, "Fuck it, man. Like, I'm tired of you disrespecting me," and they could end up having a match at WrestleMania, which I think would be so cool for Aldis. Just thinking of the journey that he has been on from Magnus, from TNA, like, it's just what a journey, and going through the NWA, of course. Some people thought that he would never. I just thought it was always a matter of time. But I remember listening to some podcasts, and they're like, "Yeah, Aldis will never end up in WWE. They just, like, their styles don't mesh." Nick Aldis reportedly, there was something like he had an issue with Bruce Pritchard, the way he treated Mickey James or something. I don't know anything about that, but there was something, like, I remember rumblings of that. So he definitely want to get along with upper management or anything. But look at him now, dude. He's fucking thriving. He looks like $1,000,000 out there, and I don't know if I'm sure he still wants to wrestle. I think it's just a matter of time. But I think this was the perfect introduction for him. Kind of like hindsight being 2020. I think they did a really good job of the presentation and introduction of Nick Aldis. So, and if we get a match between him and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, that'd be so dope for him. And something that's not completely out of nowhere, right? But something that also would be a good match, in my opinion. Yeah, it's not the most exciting, but I think it'd be really cool and a really fun visual, really. So we'll see what they end up doing with that. But getting to the main event, because we do have to get to AEW Dynasty as well. um, the whole, the favorite guys, the whole segment, right? I love how they started off with it. You have to start off with, CM Punk in Chicago. I loved how he set the stage, and they do such a great job of that. As when they do it, they do a great job of it. starting off something at the beginning of the segment and threading it through the show, with Punk going out there and addressing the fans, his, his hometown fans, of course. He thanked April, AJ Lee, Larry got a chant, all that, the typical, right? Like, he was pretty much just thanking everyone for him being in the main event of WrestleMania, which is pretty cool. Out comes Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is essentially like, can you tell me the favor? He got an ECW chant, and Punk was like, you'll just never escape it. You'll never escape it. So just, embrace it type shit. So there's a brief ECW chant, which is cool. But Heyman was essentially like, bro, like, just tell me what the favor is. Like, tell me so I can tell Roman he's not here yet, but let me know what it is so I could tell him. And Punk was like, oh, wait, he's not here yet? Or he's not here? And Heyman was like, not yet. Punk was like, okay, well, let me know when your big chief, when the big chief shows up. So Heyman, such great visual, such great facial reactions from Heyman. He gives off that tepid, like, scare, like, trembling look, but like, okay, but he still, like, has a way of showing his admiration for Punk, like, as well. Just so many things with Heyman's face. But of course, that led to later on in the evening, Heyman was backstage, and we have a car show up, and I liked it too because I forget who it was, but he was being by someone. He takes the camera, and the camera is just focused on him, and he's just talking to the camera, which is so great. And then behind him, because they're in the backstage parking lot area, they had a truck pull up. So we were thinking, of course, that's probably Roman, but it was not. It was Seth Rollins. And his outfit was actually kind of normal-ish. It wasn't that extravagant, so I really liked it. Props to Seth. But essentially Seth said the same thing. Let me know when. The whole night, really, Seth was just repeating what everyone was saying. Because I remember when, or not obviously I remember, but when they finally got to the main event, or not the main event, but the ending segment. Well, I guess it was the main event of the show. And Reigns was out there pretty much calling Punk out. Seth comes out, which of course, no, whatever. And then Seth is just going on, and the fans start chanting, "What's the favor?" And Rollins is like, "Yeah, guys, I want to know the favor too." And I'm sitting there thinking, "Well, shut the fuck up, dude! Like, you're out here, you're prohibiting us from knowing. Shut the fuck up and let Punk come out here so we know the favor." Like, damn, dude. It's like, it was just funny. Like, I literally said that out loud. I was like, "Well, then shut up, dude." But yeah, it was just funny. But of course, backtracking a little bit more, Reigns, I think this is the first time we've ever seen a continuous shot of Reigns' entrance. Paul Heyman's backstage. Reigns finally shows up. He gets out of the car and walks, like we've seen other wrestlers do at this point, but he goes to the backstage through the gorilla position, right? Like that back area. All the way. I love seeing the back of the LED boards too. I just think that's so cool. Just the visual. Technology is so crazy. And then him walking out, and he didn't stop. He didn't power walk, but my goodness, guys, this had to have been the quickest Roman Reigns entrance ever since he's been like maybe even the big dog, and especially the tribal chief. Fastest entrance in history. Undertaker would be like, "Yo, dude, slow the fuck down." Like what? So I'm just very impressed. Like, yo, are they on time crunch? Like, why is he walking so fast for his standards? So yeah, Roman came out and typical acknowledge me stuff. That's when Seth came out, blah blah blah, and then we finally got Punk coming out. Punk came out, and I was wondering too. I was like, man, are they gonna fucking extend this shit? Are they gonna not give us the favor again? And to be honest, like, I didn't even really expect to hear it. I thought that it was gonna be a surprise factor and something was gonna happen, whether it was at WrestleMania, which you would assume it'd be at WrestleMania, and then that would be like, oh shit, that's the favor. Whether it was Heyman turning on Reigns or whatever, and going from there. I ended up liking how they set it up, so I'm gonna go back and kind of read through it here. All right, so Rollins has said, "Let's find out what the favor is, shall we?" Yeah, dude. Fucking could save 5 minutes of her life if you didn't come out. But Punk made his entrance. Punk said the favor is about friendship and loyalty, which Reigns and Rollins were just speaking of, because Reigns has said that Rollins is not trustworthy. And when you think about it, like, everyone in Reigns' life, the character's life, has turned on him. So it's a very interesting tidbit. Well, I guess except for the Usos, but still, I have to sneeze really quick. Hold on 1 second, guys. Oh, maybe not. I think it's leaving me. Thank you. All right, so Punk said the favor is about friendship and loyalty. He said it goes back to Louisville, Kentucky, when Heyman was told to fire Punk and said no. Punk recalled talking with Heyman, Big Show, shout out to RVD, when Heyman was leaving the company. Punk said he made the mistake of making it about himself and worried he'd be fired. He recalled Heyman telling Punk that when he main events... Now, before I get to that point, and kind of adding a little bit more... So the situation was they were firing Heyman, right? And the Punk was like, "No, like, you can't go. Like, if you leave, they're gonna fire me. I'm gonna be fucked." And that's what Punk was referring to. He mistakenly made it about himself. He didn't think about Heyman in that moment. He was just thinking, if Heyman's not here, I'm fucked. And I liked how Punk took ownership of that too, and really kind of said, "I'm sorry," without saying I'm sorry. So it was a very cool way to apologize, essentially. But he recalled Heyman telling Punk that when he main events WrestleMania, he should force them yeah. I'll just back up. He recalled Heyman telling Punk that when he main events WrestleMania, he should force them to deal with us. Punk said they're not here anymore, so he was going to force Reigns out of his comfort zone. Punk said he was going to force Reigns to deal with us, and he pointed and gestured between Punk and Heyman. Punk said Roman's wise man and Punk's best friend Paul Heyman would be in his corner at WrestleMania. That is the favor. That is the favor, guys. And obviously, if you haven't watched the segment yet, go back and watch it. Just even that clip if you don't have time to watch the whole Smackdown show. The way he delivered it, the brief backstory that shows the longevity of the friendship between Paul Heyman and CM Punk, all adds up and all makes sense to why Heyman would be so willing to just say yes to Punk's favor. Because earlier in the night as well, right, Heyman was like, "Yes, whatever the favor is, Punk, yes, it's fine, yes. Let's just do it and get it over with so I can be loyal to my tribal chief." Now, not knowing the whole favor is Punk wants Heyman to be in his corner at WrestleMania and not the tribal chief. So the first time, the tribal chief is completely alone. Like, when was the last time, going back to the Big Dog days, right? The Big Dog days, and I hate that fucking term, but that's essentially what it was. Like the Super Cena days, that was what it was for Roman. So it's really gonna be, and when you think about it too, like he is okay and on okay terms with the Usos, but they're doing their own thing. Jimmy is bleeding out over on Raw. Jay is in the main event. Well, not anymore. Jay is facing off against Gunther, so their hands are literally tied over there on Raw. Raymond, the fuck? Roman Reigns is on his own. You know what I mean? And unless we get a debut of another Bloodline member, like a Zilla 2 or something like that, which I don't think we will, because Roman's not the bad guy anymore. So unless they're gonna use that as a way to implement Roman being officially that bad guy again, but I don't think so, because I think they like this version of Reigns. So, and again, it's a hot take, guys. Me and a friend at work were talking about it last night. My early prediction, spoiler alert, for the winner of this triple threat match is Seth Rollins, though. I guess now you can say with the implement of Heyman with CM Punk, how can you lose now, right? I'm not going to get into the full reason why, but my money and my pick right now is on Reigns, or on Rollins to win the triple threat. Continuing on, though. So Punk says the favor, right? Reigns starts laughing, and when he starts laughing, I'm like, "Oh my god, please do not kill this. Please do not take this seriously. Please do not take this seriously." But I loved it. Once he actually, once it played out, I loved it. Reigns was like, he's almost like dying laughing. He was like belly laughing. He was like, that's the favor? You understand that he loves me, right? He needs me. I saved him. Even if I let him, he wouldn't. And when he said he needs me, I saved him, it was very interesting to me because he didn't, He didn't. I mean, yes, in some ways he saved him, but the last thing that I remembered, that the last serious moment in Heyman's story arc here with Reigns in particular is Solo and then putting him through that, power bombing him through the announce table. And Heyman specifically referenced and mentioned that he hadn't spoken to Roman Reigns at that point. So that tells you Reigns did not check up on him. And I think that's still going to come back, because Heyman even referenced that recently. So I really think that's going to come back. Now, I like what they did here as well with the favor, because, well, let me finish this and I'll get to that. He, and since he loved me, right, even if I let him, he wouldn't. Reigns told Heyman to let this desperate fool down easy. Heyman looked at Reigns, who then looked surprised as he looked at a teary-eyed Heyman and asked him, "Are you crying? You better wipe him up and tell him no." Reigns told Heyman that he took him in and he made him relevant. Tell him no, and just, again, Heyman's face is just priceless here. Punk smiled as he watched the exchange. Reigns told Heyman he was giving him one more opportunity to tell him no. Heyman finally responded and said, "No, my tribal chief, I can't do that." Punk smiled and Rollins fell to his knees while laughing. Reigns backed Heyman into a corner of the ring and removed Heyman's pocket square to start to wipe his eyes. Punk attacked Reigns from behind and put him down with a GTS. Rollins stood across the ring and stared at Punk. They smiled and then exited the ring. And then the credits came on, and that was pretty much it. I love, now what I was about to say, the way they set up this favor, because it doesn't mean, and it doesn't mean, and it doesn't have Heyman completely turning on Reigns, right? It's not like we're still in limbo of what the actual favor is, and we're at WrestleMania, and Heyman slides a chair into Punk, right? Or something very obvious like that. Punk just simply asked for a favor, just like Heyman did at War Games, right? For Punk to team up with them. It wasn't a forever team, right? Just like Punk didn't necessarily say this was going to be a forever partnership or a forever reuniting of Heyman and Punk, or a forever disbandment of the wise man from the tribal chief. It was just, I just want a favor at WrestleMania. I want us to do what we said we were going to do decades ago now at this point. When I main event WrestleMania, we're going to walk in together. It's going to be us. Now, that extends the whole Reigns, Punk, Heyman dynamic as well. Again, which leads into why I think Rollins is going to be the one victorious out of all of this. And it leaves the question coming out of WrestleMania. And of course, we have to see what happens at Mania itself. But it leaves the potential for the story to be extended after WrestleMania with who is Heyman going to officially align with? Is he going to stick with Roman? Is he going to go back to Punk? What is he going to do? So, leaves so many different possibilities. So, very well done. Very, very well done. And I think a very good episode of Smackdown overall. I'm going back through your comments here. Obviously, this is going to be a long episode, guys. That's why I say, I'm going to keep it short today, because I already fucking knew myself. All right, Adam. Well, congrats, bro. I'm proud of you, man. That's no easy task, to say the least. Daily battle, so I'm proud of you, bro. Fernando. Don't we all, bro? Always fall. And it's like, just shut the fuck up. Just break up. Like, damn. And it's always the ones that I don't know, they've been off and on for 5 years, and it's like, oh, I roll. Yeah, dude. That's a good point, Sai. He said it looked like a fan disrespected Kevin Owens as he was leaving. You clearly heard someone apologize that cut away really quickly. So I was trying to find a clip of that, and it sounds like it was like some guy right on near the entrance ramp, and someone had said that he had said and I couldn't specifically make it out because again, like I said, fucking ears and whatever, just not great. But it sounded like he said, "You're still shit" to Kevin Owens as Owens was walking to the back. If that's the case, fuck that guy because that is a piece of shit human being. If that's what he said, and if that's what he said, and he directed that at Kevin Owens, which obviously he was yelling it, so who else would he be yelling that to? That dude is a piece of shit and should never go back to a wrestling show ever. We don't want him as a fan because regardless if you think Kevin Owens is the best wrestler in the world or the worst wrestler in the world, somewhere in between, great on the mic, shit on the mic, it doesn't matter. He's a human being, dude. He's a fucking human being. He has to have neck surgery. Clearly, this isn't some wrestling angle, nothing like that. Like, it was a real moment, dude. And if you're out there yelling you're still shit, you're a piece of shit, in my opinion. So if that's what the guy said, it's somewhere out there on Twitter. But if that's what the guy said, then I don't encourage violence, but I'm disappointed at the nearby fans for not putting him on blast. Oh, boss, I didn't know about that. You say you are correct about Bruce. Bruce has been on leave for months now, so he has no power. Bruce Pritchard, shit, I didn't even know that. What up, Eddie? What up, man? I don't know if I said what up to you earlier. Oh, okay. So the boss said, the guy said, go lose weight. Bro, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Like, I don't. If that's what he said, even more of a reason to fuck off because. I just can't. I just can't, guys. I'll really get angry. Regardless of what he said, like, it just keeps getting worse. But what I've seen, but regardless of what that fucker said, he does not deserve to be a wrestling fan. He does not deserve to watch wrestling. If that's what he said, regardless, whatever he said, clearly it was not defamatory, but clearly it was disrespectful and not something that you should say in a moment like that. So fucking know the room, dude. Like, I don't know. And that's why, like, God, like sometimes I miss the fucking pandemic days because like some of the segments went by so much smoother. Some of the fans, y'all, and I've said this shit before, I hate when people make it about themselves. You are literally a fan. You are not there to make it about yourself. The guy with the referee shirt that's always there now, who was right in the corner, when the wrestlers were walking out. He was the guy that was there for the Money in the Bank match between Punk and John Cena when Punk was blowing the kiss. The dude was right there in the referee shirt. He's at a lot of shows. He pissed me off too. And then we'll get to AEW. The moment when Frazier was doing the dive through the ropes and, messed up or some like shit happened, you know what I mean? The guy was trying to start a "you fucked up." He was like, "Oh," like, overreacting, first of all, like, "Oh," and then he wanted to start a chant saying, "You fucked up." And it's like, really, dude? Like, really? Like, do you think that's cool? Like, maybe that's cool to some people out there, and clearly it is because they chant it. I've never got behind that because it's just disrespectful, bro. Like shit happens. Like I was saying earlier, the time and the skill that it takes to hone their craft and to go out there how hundreds of days out of the year, a couple hundred days out of the year, even if it's just a couple days out of the year, whatever your schedule is, to go out there and to perform a wrestling match like that and to risk your life, doing some of these moves, even the simplest of moves. You're putting your body on the line. And when something like that clearly goes wrong and not 100% as to what it should have been, and your first reaction is to sit there and essentially mock them because you know you're on camera, you're a piece of shit too. So I when I saw that, it really, I almost sent out a tweet about it. I was like, whatever. But it just really pissed me off because what if he really got hurt too? Like, so you're sitting there mocking someone who just, got hurt, and like clearly Nathan's fine, and he continued the match. He's a professional, obviously, right? And they were able to fix it. Shit happens. It just really pisses me off because, like, in our everyday life, like, I fuck up a lot. At work, sometimes I trip going down the stairs, going up the stairs. Like, we don't have people sitting there filming us and chanting, "Oh, you fucked up." It's like, bro, like, I know you've done some shit and you fucked up, and it's just like, just because you're not on TV, like, you don't have to amplify it, and just because you are on TV doesn't mean you need to make it about yourself. So just my little side rant there. It just, I don't know, man. And I get, like, it's fun to play into the show, right? And like, whatever, but shit like that I'm just not about. So could be, unpopular decision, and I could be taking it too, not personally, but too seriously. But to me, it's just like, you don't play with people's health like that. You know what I mean? So I just ain't about that shit, man. Trust me, I love giving people a hard time. To be completely transparent, I am definitely that person. So, especially myself. So if, like, I'm walking with, like, a friend or something and they trip, I'll laugh. Or, like, I am 100% gonna laugh, but I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, you fucked up," like, "Oh, look at you, look at you." I'm gonna laugh, and I'm gonna help you up. You know what I mean? But so I am that person as well, but I'm not gonna sit there and draw attention to it, and not gonna be like, "Oh, you fucked up," and be like, "Oh, remember earlier when you," like, no, like, shit happens, dude. But I do, and I say that because I 100% like die laughing at myself when I do super shit. So I just feel like that's different though. So just to put that out there as well. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. So we will finally move over to the AEW portion, which I'm not going to say that. I'm not even going to classify the time. But I am going to remove myself for 1 second while I pull up the card here and blow my nose. You guys ever notice too, really quick before I disappear for a second, on Wikipedia, that's just always the first thing that pulls up. You remember when, and I don't even go to Wikipedia that much, but they would have those ads at the top and be like, "Please donate such and such. If you don't donate $2, $5 by the end of this week, Wikipedia is gonna go down forever." It's still here. Just cracks me up. All right, guys, I'll BRB. Go take a little. All right. Make sure I turn my mic back on. Yo, I was doing a stream the other day. Fucking ridiculous. 12 minutes of my life talking on mute. So pissed. So pissed. Because it's like, you've already talked about so much. It's like, fuck, what did I just say? I gotta restart. And then like the way you say it, like the first time you feel something, it's just whatever. But yeah, what up, guys? What up in the chat? What up? What up? What up, Ultra? You say what's up, Bass? What's up to you, man? You say came from Ryback's Twitter, wanted to say hi. Okay, what up, bro? What up, Michael? Interesting name, man. What up? Oh, you're funny, bro. And Fernando, you said AEW Dynamite was excellent. The fans have been doing this for you. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, you do not see a big deal. All right, man. I get you. I don't know, man. To me, like, when it's a possibility of someone, like, potentially getting hurt, like, why you gotta sit there and, like, make fun of them, you know? Like, I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, fair point, man. But the AEW Dynasty card. Dynasty is tomorrow, April 6th, 2025, from good old Philly. Oh, I was so bummed. I didn't even realize. I mean, I don't think I would have traveled up there for it, but I have family that lives like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from the venue. I was like, damn, had I planned better. But I actually was thinking, I was looking at flights this morning, potentially about going to AEW All In. I love to use wrestling as an excuse to travel to new places. And I have not been to Texas, period. So debating on that, and actually flights are dirt cheap. So let me know your thoughts on that. If you think it'd be worth the trip. Obviously I'm in Orlando. But there's only like a 3-ish hour flight, 2 hours 55 minutes or some shit. And again, flights were pretty damn cheap. So it would just be a matter of like the board and the ticket itself. But let me know what you guys think if I should make the journey out there. Y'all are funny, bro. But yeah, so and again, I am kind of bummed. I didn't go. Y'all are funny. Y'all's comments are funny sometimes. All right, but the card. Let's get to it. We have 11 matches. It looks like. I was trying to see if they had any pre-match cards or pre-match. No, nothing yet. Unless it's just not mentioned here. Okay, so whatevs. But we have 11 matches announced, so no shocker there. And one of these stipulations just makes me LOL. But of course, we have the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Brackets have been revealed. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. I feel like everyone has talked now, and everyone pretty much has the same mindset and idea behind it. The women's is much better stacked than the men's. You know, I don't know how. No disrespect to Mark Briscoe, he's love the dude. He's great. Very tragic, story with what happened with Jay. I love that he's continuing in wrestling, like all that good stuff. You know what I mean? No disrespect to that, but it's like, how the hell does he end up in all these tournament brackets? Like, I don't. How does he end up in it? But then like MJF doesn't, or like how does Kevin Knight end up in it, but MJF doesn't? So I'm just like, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that right now because it is what it is. You know what I mean? But. And I guess this one is officially on the card itself. I didn't think it was going to be on the card, but I guess it is. We have Hangman Adam Page facing off against a wild card entrant. Is that really on the card? I guess it is. Excuse me. Speculation as to who that is. Some people are saying it could be Josh Alexander, who has recently signed to AEW. I've heard out there Jeff Jarrett. Could you fucking imagine? Because when you think about it, he did make a big case, maybe going back into the Owen and challenging for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. This was his last year, right? Like he was doing his retirement year just like John Cena, and he's just vanished. Not complaining, obviously, but you got to keep that in the back of your mind too. You know what I mean? It's concerning. But regardless, I don't think Adam Page is going to lose that match. I think Adam is going to retain. That's why I'm like, I don't know if you would want to put like a Josh Alexander in that position. It would be easy to slide Jeff Jarrett in there. It's a easy explanation for the tournament. Like I said, you already have that story built into it right there. Anna Page and Jeff Jarrett have history, so it'll kind of be an easy pick, in my opinion. One that could be like, oh wow, maybe a little pop for the fans there, maybe. But you're not really hurting on anyone either. So I don't know, but I could see Josh Alexander being the wild card pick as well. But do you really want him to lose his first match? Which there's no real shame in that, especially losing to Hangman Page. But I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't hate it, and I think it'd be a fucking fun match to watch. But to me, like, I almost want you to present Josh in a different way right off the bat, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it'd be one of those, like, once I see it play out, I may feel a little bit better about it. But going into it, I don't think I would put him in that spot. But it'd be a really fun debut though as well. So I'm open to that. Open to that. What up, Jesse? What up? What up? Reading some of your comments here. Ba-ba-ba. Jesse, you said the Owen tournament is AEW milking money for Owen's family, even because Brett wants Owen in WWE Hall of Fame. Does he want him in the Hall of Fame now? Huh. I don't know, man. I don't think Martha would ever be for it. Even now with Triple H in charge, maybe, but man, I don't know. All right, y'all are saying go to Texas if I got the money. All right, we'll see. I was seriously thinking about it, so y'all may be hyping me up to do it. But yeah, so I still pick Hangman Page to win that in advance of the finals, or advance in the tournament itself, rather, because excuse me, there's so much, and I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself and talk for fucking 3 hours here today, but there's so much different possibilities, or so many different possibilities that you could do for All In with the heavyweight championship, which I think is fun too. Props to them to AEW for creating all these different scenarios and all these different thoughts and questions going into it. But I have my thoughts, and it's been one of my two picks from the beginning. I just to put this out there, I never thought it was going to be Darby. I thought it did not make sense, especially when he lost to Claudio. It just never made sense to me. I've become a bigger and bigger fan of Darby, but I never put any real substance behind him being the one to dethrone Moxley. We'll say that. Didn't want coffee in your ears. Next up, we have Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Not even gonna spend too much time on that. No offense to Mark, but he's in these to lose these. So Fletcher is taking the dub here and advancing in the tournament. No surprise there. But it is gonna be a good match, and Briscoe, he just adds that layer of ruggedness and speed to the match, which is fun. He's fun to watch, man. And that's why I'm just like, God, stop putting him in these tournaments to lose, man. But, in another opportunity just to say, I miss Eddie Kingston, bro. I hope he's good. I hope the recovery is going good and he's able to come back soon. Yeah. Sucks, man. Next up, we have Mercedes Moné facing off against Julia Hart, the quarterfinal match in the women's tournament. This one I think is going to be a fun match as well. Julia has really, really grown in the ring and really progressed in her skills, man. I mean, think of how she started off. She was that cheerleader with Griff Garrison and, oh my God, Brian Pillman Jr. It's like, the name until you go to say it, and it's like, fuck, how did you just leave me? The most obvious one, And to see where she's at now, props to her, bro. Props to her. I'm still wondering what they're doing with the Hounds of Hell, right? But we'll see. I don't see her winning this match here. Mercedes is going to take the W here and continue on. But wouldn't it be something if she lost? Like, wouldn't it be something if Billy Starks or Athena cost her the match here and the tournament? But I don't think they will. Excuse me. Because they would end up fighting each other. I think that's how the layout is as well. But we'll see. It'd be a shocker if Julia Hart won. I just don't see them doing any funny business with that. Next up, we have Will Ospreay facing off against Kevin Knight. To be honest with you guys, I've seen a couple of matches with Kevin Knight. I know he was in TNA, but I'm not 100% familiar on him. What I've seen of him, it's going to be a fantastic match. He, again, is another one of those guys that creates movement. You know what I mean? And Ospreay is Ospreay. You know, you don't need to say much more there. But this is a no-brainer to me. Ospreay is winning the match here. I'm not even going to get into should Kevin Knight be in the tournament. He's replacing Jay White, you know, and it sucks for Jay White, bro. Like, he just can't catch a break. So it'll be a fun match for sure. And I'm excited to learn more about Kevin Knight too. I'm excited to kind of see more of what he could do, and I hope he kind of takes a Ricochet route in the sense of you expect him to be like the new toy of the month type thing and then kind of disappear. But I hope that he's not. I hope he ends up getting, even if it's on Collision, I hope he ends up getting a more prominent spot, but not over positioning him either. So TBD on that. Then this match. The next match on the card is the Hurt Syndicate. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, of course, are tag team champions with the Godfather himself, MVP, facing off against the Learning Tree, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. Just eye roll, Big Bill, right? The name. In his shirt, it said, too much man? Just, come on, bro. Come on. It just cracks me up. Cracks me up. Like, if I see a dude wearing that shirt, he walked up to me and be like, you fucking kidding me? It would make me think of what people say when guys have like those big oversized, like humongous trucks and they pop out and they're like a little 5'4" guy, like my height. It's just like, you overcompensating, my dude? What's going on there? But the Hurt Syndicate versus the Learning Tree. I think this is set up for an MJF interference, and I think it's going to go either one of two ways, right? Like, either MJF is going to be pissed off that Bobby in particular is disrespecting him and shunning him from the group, or, and what I think is actually going to be the case, could be completely wrong because I suck at these predictions, but I think it could be a situation where MJF, rather, too many initials, comes out and helps the Hurt Syndicate to win. Not that they need the help at all, especially against the Learning Tree. No offense. But I think it's a situation, or even just a distraction, you know? Like, Big Bill is setting up for a move, you know, like, or they're setting up for a double team or whatever the fact. MJF comes out, distracts the referee, what have you, gives the opportunity for Bobby to take over, hit the spear, 1, 2, 3. They retain the tag team titles. Bobby's like, okay, looking at MJF a little bit differently, seeing maybe he's not all about himself, and has a little bit of a warmer heart for MJF, and they go from there. I think that's maybe what's going to happen. MJF has to get involved in somewhere else, right? So, excuse me. Regardless, the Learning Tree is not winning here. If they won, I would be fucking floored. I would be floored. So I think it's only a matter of how the Hurt Syndicate is going to win. And I don't want them to end up becoming one of those teams where, like, they cheat to win, because they don't need to. That's what makes them cool and adds another layer to them. They hurt people, you know? That's all you got to say. That's all you got to be about. Daniel Garcia, the TNT Championship. That does exist, guys. It does still exist. And I know it's been on Collision. I know, I'm just fucking around. facing off against Adam Cole, baby. And I don't have enough time to sit here and talk about Adam Cole and just the sadness that brings to my heart when I see Adam Cole now. And I have to say, this match, guys, has no time limit and no outside interference is permitted. Because that, of course, is different than any other match. No outside interference is permitted. The time limit thing is different, right? But I was like, really? Like, I know why they're doing it, but it's just like when they have it with the Continental Classic, like with those matches, like it should be a given, like, but whatever. I get it, but it's like when you think too much about it, it's like it's just one of those things, you know what I mean? I think this is going to be a fun match. This match is the 7th. I think Adam Cole made a post that said the match itself is going to air on the 17th anniversary of his wrestling career, like the day of, which I think is very cool. So adds another layer of why I don't see Adam Cole losing here, and it's in Philadelphia where he started his career as well. So that's very cool as well. Just another layer of why I think Adam Cole is going to pick up the W here, and I think he needs it, to be honest with you guys. It's just crazy to say when it's in comparison to Daniel Garcia, but he needs something to get him going. So I hope this is going to be it. In 1 second. Ugh, it's fucking cold, man. I hate it. It sucks when you have to sit here and talk, especially by yourself. I have you guys, but But yeah, officially again, Hurt Syndicate is taking the W. No surprise there. Daniel Garcia is not taking the W there, unfortunately. He is, and I don't see, not to get ahead of myself, but I don't see too many title changes going on the show here, so I think you need something too, right? So I think it's just another reason for Adam Cole to win. And it sucks, but Garcia just hasn't been showcased. And again, I hate to say it because they have been doing their thing on Collision, but it's just not the same if it's not on Dynamite, in my opinion. So I know it makes me concerned of what they would end up doing with Garcia going forward. But again, like I was saying, I think Adam Cole needs a little bit more at this point. We have Chris Jericho, our Ring of Honor champion, facing off against Bandito. It is a title versus mask match. Again, I don't know why this is on the AEW pay-per-view. Ring of Honor is its own company, right? Has its own pay-per-views, PLEs, pay-per-views, right? Why isn't this happening on there? I don't know. You can say it's for exposure, fine, but whatever. I'm not gonna get into that on this show because I have already said my piece on that. It makes me concerned though because it's Jericho and they do have a big Ring of Honor pay-per-view coming up, so they could want the rematch to happen there, but I don't see Bandito losing his mask. The mask is too sacred in Lucha Libre wrestling, or Lucha Libre, in the culture. So unless he's at the point where he wants to demask and he wants to like start a new chapter, which okay. But if not, like I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to be a thing. And I hope he's not like feeling forced. But I don't think it would. I don't think he would feel forced. But I hope not. So I'm going with Bandito winning here. Part of me was like, are they really going to have the Ring of Honor World Championship change hands on the pay-per-view? But if you're not willing to change the title on the pay-per-view, then why put this on the AEW pay-per-view itself? So I'm going to say fuck it and put the title on Bandito. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a cool moment too. So I hope they do. Next up, we have the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta, our trios champions. Yes, they are still out there facing off against Rated FTR, Copeland, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. The story with this, of course, going into it is the dissension between Wheeler and Harwood, and can they coexist, right? Are they going to turn on each other? Are they going to just be all kumbaya and find their common ground and band together for a bigger and better cause, and that is to become the Trios champions? Part of me was like, you could have fun with it and have them win the championships and continue the dissension, and that be the story going on or going into their matches coming up. Can they retain the championships? Because can they coexist? I don't see that happening though. As much as it'd be cool probably for them as good friends of real life to become trios champions, I think the bigger story here is going to be Cash and Harwood turning on Copeland. I think part of me is like, are they going to do anything physically? I think they will. Or at least show some dissension there. But I don't think it would pack as much of a punch as what I think is going to end up happening. So I think that they are going to turn on Copeland. I think they end up losing the match outright, and then they get pissed off and blame Copeland for it. Maybe Copeland takes the L, which I don't see happening. I mean, maybe one of them takes the L, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens. But I think they're going to be pissed off and turn on Copeland, and then Christian comes out to save him to essentially start the whole ENC, right? But not really. But the CNC, I guess now, C squared. They would see. God, I hope they don't do that. But Copeland and Christian Cage, it's only a matter of time before they're going to tag and team up in AEW, right? And shit, the tag division needs it, so I think it'd be fun to have Wheeler and Harwood remain as a team, because I can't picture them as singles wrestlers. They're just so related at this point, and so just intertwined with each other. And in the tag world, not even the division here in AEW, but the tag world. And I think it'd be fun to see them as bad guys too, and to kind of go back to that and really embrace that. And they could really get like a different level of intensity going into a feud with good friends of theirs. So I think that'd be a win-win, really. And I just don't see the Death Riders losing here. So that's my thoughts here. Death Riders are going to retain. We get dissension and the breakup between Rated FTR. And whether Christian comes out at Dynasty to help, like if it's a beatdown, that's when I could see it. But if it's just like a disagreement, then I don't see it happening there with Christian until maybe like on Dynamite. Like the follow-up to that. So we'll see. And I could be completely off base with that, but that's kind of where I would go with it. And again, I know it's very, not even very, it's, Christian and Adam Copeland did have their feud, right? And Christian told him to go fuck himself, but it's almost like one of those things where it's like brothers can fight with each other, and brothers can call each other like pieces of shit and all that stuff and go at each other, but no one else can. No one else can fuck with my brother but me. Like I think it's gonna be kind of like a vibe in a situation like that. But yeah, and to be honest, I kind of be here for it too. Shout out to everyone popping in and joining us on Twitter as well. I need to start pulling up like the Twitter visual, or I don't think I can. Because I can see the comments here, but it'd be cool to see it on Twitter. Maybe I'll do that on my phone next week. Pull up the Twitter side of it. But we have a lot of you guys in the chat as in a little accumulation of the stream. So shout out to you guys for popping in and joining me here on a Saturday morning. We're going a little bit longer today. So not really. I normally ramble on a lot. But there's a lot to cover. So I appreciate you guys for starting off your weekend with me. I am here live every Saturday morning, 10 a.m.-ish Eastern. Sometimes a few minutes after that, just depending on what's going on that morning. But I normally end up going definitely longer than the hour. So we end up making up for it in the back end. And I also have my own channel here on the YouTube atmosphere and the YouTube universe, right? Kick-Ass Podcast. So definitely check that out if you would like as well. I'll be doing a show, probably not today because I have to, once I wrap up here, I have to do some stuff and then head to my part-time. And I'll be there until 11:30 tonight. So I'll hopefully do a show tomorrow over on Kick-Ass Podcast. Just with any changes that have happened from AEW, any changes period, and just kind of just shooting the breeze with you guys. It won't be a watch along like I've done in the past. Still thinking about doing a watch along for WrestleMania over on Kickash Podcast channel, so TBD on that as well. I know I'll definitely be off on the 20th, but I'm not off on the 19th, so I gotta figure that out. I know, dumbass me, I forgot to take off on the fucking WrestleMania night 1. So I gotta figure that shit out. So TBD on that. But the past two watch alongs were fun, especially the Elimination Chamber when all the shit broke with John Cena. The first one that we did over there was for the Rumble. So yeah, it's definitely been a blast. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. If it doesn't end up being for Mania, obviously we'll do some more in the future. So yeah, if you guys feel ever so inclined, feel free to do that. And they tell me I need to do this more. Feel free to like the little show here, subscribe to the channel here. Of course, if you're not subscribed to One True Sport, like I don't know why you're even watching if you're not subscribed yet. So definitely subscribe on the YouTube channel if you have not done so already. So yeah, they don't tell me. But I'm supposed to, put this out there in the YouTube universe, right? For that algorithm and all that fancy stuff. So that's the business side out of the way. But continuing on with the most important part here, and that's the prediction show. Kenny Omega is our international champion, defending against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. Y'all, this match is gonna be fucking. This is one of those matches where I'm so happy. I'm not one of those people that has to like write and document and do a breakdown of the match itself, because how are you gonna be able to keep up with that shit? So this match is one of those where it's just sit back and enjoy it. The question is, though, who's going to take the L? Because it's not going to be Omega, in my opinion. I almost don't even see it being Ricochet. I almost kind of see it being Mike Bailey, which is, I don't know if that's like surprising since he's still new. And like it's maybe one of the situations where you want to protect him a little bit longer. But I think he's gonna be one of those characters and one of those wrestlers where like he can take some L's and be fine, because of what he can do in the ring. It's just fucking fantastic. And again, I'll always give those wrestlers even more credit for going out there and doing that shit barefoot, because I am a baby when it comes to being barefoot. Like I love being out, like at the beach or stuff like that, and like I'm not like cringe, but like if I step on something, I'd be like, oh, and if I stub my toe, bro, nothing humbles me more than fucking stubbing my toe. So to see these guys out there doing that shit barefoot, even walking out there barefoot, like I couldn't imagine that. And then doing that shit, like walking the ropes, jumping off the ropes, like fucking kicking people, and like I just can't even imagine, dude. So they get another extra level of respect from me, because it couldn't be me, bro. Like I'd love to think I could be, like doing my shit in the ring, I couldn't do it. But barefoot, fuck no. So another level of respect to people like Speedball and Mike Bailey doing that shit barefoot, man. Couldn't be me. So this match is gonna be very fun. Could potentially be the show stealer match. Which is crazy to say, when you have Ospreay on the card as well. But this match, the three of these guys, man, they're gonna want to go on there and just fucking kill it. So to me, it's only a question of when Omega retains, do we see Okada? Does Okada kind of pop out on stage and kind of stare down Omega to continue the stare down thing that they've been doing? Well, not that they've been doing, but that they did at World's End. Excuse me. And Okada can kind of return the favor and just keep that in the back of our minds going into All In. So not really holding my breath on that or saying that even needs to happen, but just a thought that I had since he's not even on the card. He being Okada. Next up, we have Timeless Tony Storm, the highlight of every show for me. Our AEW Women's World Champion facing off against Megan Bayne. I think this is going to be a sleeper of a match as well. I'm not saying it's going to go out there and steal the show or anything like that, but I think Megan Bayne is going to impress more people than they probably even think going into it. I don't think people are necessarily thinking it's going to be like a clunker or anything like that, because Megan Bayne is good, but people have really been like putting more attention on, we haven't really heard from Megan Bayne. We heard from her that one time, but not really. She's not someone that goes out there and speaks frequently, and I don't think she needs to. I don't think she needs to be one of those that goes out there and performs that go home promo or anything like that. Now, eventually, she does need to obviously talk more. But I think it's fun to kind of keep the mystique up right now and to kind of keep that mysterious kind of vibe with her. Like, you don't really know her full thoughts right now, but you know she's a badass and you know she fucking looks the part and she's about her business. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't go out there and like lollygag or like play up to the crowd. She's about her shit, you know? And I remember watching her in AEW Dark and the tapings that they did in Universal Studios. I've been to like 2 or 3 of them, and she was at a good, like, I think at least 2. So I should go back and see if I have some of those, some of the videos from it. But I remember watching her then, dude, and she was one of those. I was like, yo, like, why is she still on Dark? You know, she needs to be on Dynamite. And I don't know if it's like a contract thing because she only recently became like, all elite, right? Within the past few months or whatever, 6 months or something. I could be off on that. But she definitely hasn't been prominently shown, which could be a good thing as well. You know, she hasn't been, like emphasized down or anything like that or anything. She just hasn't been on TV, period, until recently. So I like what they've been doing with her. Some people, like, again, I said, in my opinion, just put too much onto the whole speaking part of it. And of course, you need to know a mission statement, but it's not like she's even the good guy going into this. She's the bad guy, like you expect to hear from your good guy, which is Toni Storm. And Toni can talk for everyone. You know what I mean? She's fantastic at that. So let Toni shine and then let Megan Bain shine. And not everyone has to be the same, not everyone has to go out there and give us a 2, 3, 4 minute promo, so, and again, eventually, absolutely she needs to, and we need to hear, especially if she won, right? But I don't see that happening here. But maybe the agony of defeat will allow us to hear from her, so we'll see. And again, like, I think I'm not rushing Megan Bain, and again, that's why part of me was like, yeah, would I put her in this spot so soon? Maybe not, but seeing how it's played out, I'm not even mad at it. So, and I think it's going to be a very good match as well. So, I hope they get at least 10, 12, 15 minutes. At least a good amount of time to really go out there and have a match. So, yeah, my, of course, official pick is Toni Storm retaining here. I don't think that's any real surprise or any shocker, but I think the match itself is going to impress people. And I hope it does. I hope it does. We have made it to our main event. Jon Moxley is still our AEW World Champion, facing off against Swerve, of course, with Prince Nana by his side. This one I have been torn on a little bit. Not as much as some people, and maybe not even as back and forth as some people, but when we first realized and it was made official that it was going to be Moxley and Swerve, I was like, man, I don't see them putting Swerve in this spot and having him lose. Because Swerve is just one of those guys, man. Like, Swerve is that dude, Swerve is him, as they would say, as the cool kids would say, as the young kids would say, as Carmelo would say. And Swerve just has that vibe about him, man. Like, you don't fuck with him, obviously, we've seen. But you don't fuck with him. And even just in the wrestling sense and the character sense, this AEW version of Swerve knows his value, knows his worth, and he ain't gonna go out there and just be in some dumb shit and be in some bullshit and be in some shit that doesn't make sense, in my opinion. Now, of course, you can only do so much, right? Like, he's not Tony Khan, but I don't think they would put him in this situation without something kind of big happening. So that's why I was like, okay, is he really going to be the one to dethrone Moxley? And that's what I always say, like, dethrone Moxley at this point. And as much as I want someone to beat Moxley, I just don't, something in my heart, man, just doesn't feel like it's going to be Swerve. And it would be cool again for him to win the championship where he won it last year. But I don't think the story with Moxley being dethroned, right, and the whole positioning of it originally has been set up for it to be Swerve to beat him. Now, maybe they're like, this hasn't been going as to plan, and it's time to take it off of Moxley. And Swerve would definitely be a fantastic decision. And in a lot of ways, you could set up a whole bunch of angles going into All In, Swerve versus Hangman, Swerve versus Ospreay, You know, there's so many different options that you can go into with Swerve being the champion at All In. And I think aesthetically that would be just a great visual as well. Swerve going into the biggest show of the year, defending the championship, that'd be very cool. But I just, for whatever reason, man, I don't feel like this is it. I don't feel like he's gonna be the one to beat Moxley right now. And I think something's gonna happen, whether it's a fuck finish from Nana turning on Swerve, which I don't even see that happening. I honestly I don't even know what it is, which I'm kind of happy I don't. But I feel something's gonna happen. So as much as I hate to say it, because I'm definitely at the point where Moxley, we need something new, right? But I have said from the beginning he's gonna go to All In with the championship. And again, I hope I'm wrong, and it could very well be wrong, but I think Moxley is gonna retain the championship here. He's gonna go into All In, and spoiler alert for my long-term predictions, I think it's gonna be like I've said from the beginning. I think it's gonna be Jon Moxley facing off against Hangman Page. I don't even think it's gonna be Ospreay. You know, he did make the declaration, and you could set that up as well. But going back to the origin of AEW and the beginning of AEW as a company, and Hangman being essentially AEW's homegrown guy, you know, him facing off against Chris Jericho and losing, and then him going through the journey to become the champion. It was just so beautifully told, you know, and AEW gets a lot of shit for their stories and the lack thereof. But the Hangman story, they have always held, and almost like, you know, they've handled with care, you know. And even the journey, I think, that we've seen with Hangman, the character development, just the different versions of the Hangman character, period. I think going through the darkness with Swerve, and then having him and Swerve almost come to terms with each other, with Swerve acknowledging, like, I know, and like that he went too far. That's all you need, man. And I think that Hangman is AEW's true guy. Like, yes, you have Omega and Ospreay has impressed me a lot, just in the sense of adapting to weekly TV and just the presentation of him. But man, there's just something about Hangman that just screams AEW to me, and screams a story like this needs someone that you look at and you think AEW, you know what I mean? And you think the beginning of AEW, you think the originals of AEW, and that's Hangman to me. So that's why I've always felt like it was going to be Hangman being the one to beat Moxley. So again, I could be wrong on that, but that's what I would do. And especially with the love that Hangman's been getting lately, and the support that he's been getting, and kind of when you look at it, the journey that he's been on to right his wrongs. He tried to redeem himself with Christopher Daniels after putting him, you know, ending his career, quote unquote. The shit with Swerve. And I don't know, man. I like the journey. I like the journey that it could really hammer down on the closer we get to All In. So with Hangman. So we'll see. We will see. But that's right there on Dynasty, guys, on AEW Dynasty. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun show. It's one of those those cards, rather, where some of the matches don't necessarily need to be on the card, but it is what it is. It's fine. It could be on a good episode of Dynamite. But I think it's going to be a solid show. You know, AEW always delivers on pay-per-view, so I'm excited to see what it ends up being. But I'm going to jump into the chat here and then jump off, because we're at that 2-hour mark, guys. 2 hour, guys. It's crazy. All right, Eddie, you said Ricochet is taking the pin. Okay. All eyes on me. What up? What up? Thanks for popping in through Twitter. I appreciate you, man. Fernando, you said Speedball is going to shock the world and win the title. Oh, shit. That would be shocking. Yeah, all eyes on me. Fuck yeah, man. Love Tony Storm as well. Oh, okay. Fernando, you said Hangman is going to help Swerve win the AEW championship and kill the Death Rider story once and for all. Okay, maybe. Maybe, dude. If that happens, y'all heard it here first. Okay, Eddie ain't about the Hangman reign. He ain't about it. All right. Hey, man, we'll see. We'll see. But story-wise, like, it would make the most sense, in my opinion, with what Moxley's intention was to right the wrong of AEW as a whole, right? Like, people not taking AEW seriously and the wrestlers not taking AEW seriously. Hangman does. You can't say one thing about Hangman is you cannot say that dude ain't about his business. You know what I mean? It ain't about AEW. So that's why it just kind of made more sense to me too. Maria, you said Brian Danielson is going to make a shocking return and get revenge on Moxley by costing him the championship. That would be some shit, dude. That would be some shit. Yeah, I mean, he kind of out of sight, out of mind with Brian Danielson. Maybe could be onto something there. I don't feel like that's gonna happen right now, but bro, it very well could. Oh, Jesse, you said, and I'll get to you, Fernando. Y2J is not going to win because Ring of Honor is not going to get a TV deal, but Plan B is money. Yeah, man, that's what I was saying earlier. I think another reason I think Bandito should win. But Fernando, no, I will not be doing a watch along for Dynasty tomorrow night. Like I said, the next watch along that I'm that's kind of pending is potentially WrestleMania. So we'll see about that. I'll definitely post that over on Kickash Podcast here on YouTube and on my Twitter page as well. To give you guys a heads up on that. But I will not be doing one for Dynasty, sadly. So yeah, it would be fun, but I'll be watching it later on a delay. So sadly, I would not. But with that being said, guys, I will be here back next week at 10 a.m. ish Eastern live to follow up on Dynasty in the week that has transpired at that point, with the fallout from Dynasty that we'll be getting on Dynamite next week. Of course, everything continuing to lead into WrestleMania. If we get any more substance from the whole favor thing and just the progression for WrestleMania season, we'll be talking all that next week. Thank you guys so much for popping in again. I truly appreciate it. A lot of you guys are over there on Twitter, so I appreciate that very much so, and for popping in into the chat. And again, guys, until next week, stay safe out there and enjoy some wrestling, guys. Have a great weekend.